everybody else is playing for second place.
Look at the way they played, and they're talking about, we didn't play that well today. You're going, well, when they do get things rolling, they're gonna be nasty over there once again. And that crowd, Denver, the comeback there at the end, but Denver looks strong too, man. So good kickoff to their defenses. Let's see if they're the last two teams standing though about 21 weeks from now.
Yeah, I think Certainly Seattle looks like the prohibitive favorite again, but there's a lot of hurdles. It's way too early, and Denver's going to be very good. And they probably have an easier route to the Super Bowl than the Seahawks do in the NFC. So still a lot of things can happen. Injuries can derail any season. We all know that. But, boy, as I said, somebody has to beat Seattle and make sure they don't get home field advantage, because if they do,
that's it.
I don't know how anybody's going to beat them up there.
That's it, man. You got to beat them on the road because they're not going down at the house, that's for sure. John McMullen, week one's in the books. Next week, look forward to talking to you. The Browns will be fresh off their home opener with the Saints, and we will see what goes on around the NFL. I can't wait, and plus, who knows? We may know what additional punishment perhaps happens with Ray Rice here. So a lot to talk about next week.
All right, thanks for having me, Jerry.
Thank you. John McMullen from the Sports Network. You guys can tweet with them at JF McMullen. Yeah, we're way into overtime here. We haven't even kicked over halfway through the show. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan coming up next. We're going to talk about them Buckeyes as they dropped one early here, and there could be several more of those coming. Cincinnati looms, a couple of Big Ten teams. It was a rough day for the Big Ten the other day. The top dogs went to the wayside there. Michigan, Notre Dame waxed Michigan. Michigan State goes down. Buckeyes lose to Va-Tech. Let's talk about all of that. Indians, Browns, Buckeyes. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan going to join us here. We'll talk about all of that with him. Meanwhile, middle of the third, Indians and Angels, no score. We'll keep updating you on that as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan next here on the Sports Fix.
We here at the Sports Fix are very in-depth when we interview the sports stars.
Oh, I saw the whole thing, dude. First you were all like, whoa, and then we were like, whoa, and then you were like, whoa. What are you talking about? You caught serious thrill issues, dude. Oh, awesome.
Maybe not, but you should still listen.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Ed Doherty, voice of St. Ignatius Wildcat Football, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
I'm Pro Football Hall of Famer Paul Warfield. There's just one place where students are students first and athletics are played with purpose and perspective. That place is your local high school. High school sports help young people become confident leaders and role models and use the skills developed today to do even bigger things in life tomorrow. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
In baseball, miracles can happen when a team works together.
2 out, bottom of the ninth, down to their last strike.
The same is true in the fight against cancer. That's why MLB has teamed up with Stand Up to Cancer. Because we believe that when we all stand up together,
41,000 on their feet,
we can make cancer history.
Now everybody's standing.
What a buzz in this building.
This is beyond a dream. Stand up with MLB at standuptocancer.org.
The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix.
At the corner of Carnegie and Ontario, it's basketball time at the Q. Cleveland rocks!
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history? In-depth personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book.
Joe Gray,
Fred McLeod,
Hector Marinero.
Discussing the most intimate and sometimes controversial details of the largest moments in our town's sports history.
The Indians have won the divisional title.
A perfect game for Len Barker.
What a win for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Their first time in the playoffs.
It's the first book written from the player's point of view, with the media that covered it and the fans that watched. Finally, the true stories are told, from a miracle in Richfield to the NBA Finals.
Detroit Pistons
From a perfect game to a World Series one pitch from victory. From a Wildcat High School dynasty to the golden days of the Browns, Barons, and Crunch, this book will change the way the entire sports nation looks at Cleveland.
Cleveland, you will have an October to remember.
Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today. Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by GV Art and Design. It's not just a shirt, it's a statement. GVArtwork.com.
Hang on, Sloopy, Sloopy, hang on. Hang on, Sloopy, Sloopy, hang on.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix. Rolling on here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. I told you, I knew I could smell what the air was cooking early in this one. I knew we were going into overtime. A whole lot. Hey, man, look, the weekend alone, busy enough, and then you throw Ray Rice on top of that with that thing coming out this morning and us getting on that. And I haven't even touched on the stuff going on in the NBA, which kind of fits right in on some of the things we were talking about earlier. There's a whole lot going on, so we're gonna keep it rolling here and take it on until we run out of steam, baby. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan, he's gonna join us just a few moments from now here. As you hear in the background, of course, we're gonna talk some OHIO Buckeyes football. Yeah, it didn't go well for the Buckeyes at home the other night, and it adds up to a loss for the Buckeyes earlier in the season than they are traditionally used to it. That's for sure. We're going to talk to Dan about that. You guys can keep the conversation going with us on Facebook and Twitter and email, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at thesportsfixCLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Real quick, as we get ready to go to the phone lines, I was going to try to get you an update on the Indians score here as soon as the computer wants to cooperate with me. There we go. Come on now, guys. There we go. No score, bottom of the third. Angels and Indians roll on. We'll keep updating that for you as we go to the phones. We'll talk about that Tribe and that sweep and the Browns and the Steelers and the Buckeyes with my man Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan. Dan, how you doing this afternoon?
Oh, I'm doing great, Jerry. How are you? Good to be back with
right.
you. So I was part of that record crowd down there in Columbus on Saturday night, and the Buckeyes came out and kind of laid a big fat egg. It was disappointing. There's a lot of questions that I have about why they did what they did, and let me first just kind of point out that I'm a little bit surprised that Urban Meyer didn't put a little bit more of the blame on himself. I mean, it was always a distressing thing to me that Jim Tressel would never ever admit that he was outcoached. He very rarely, if ever took any of the blame for a loss on himself or his coaches. Urban has not shown that hesitance before, but he was saying this morning that he had never seen a team put 9 men in the box like Virginia Tech did. They haven't been able to run their offense this year yet because the defenses just haven't been cooperating with them by playing a straight 4-3, which is what their offense is set up to attack. And crazy.
These darn defenses are not cooperating. Dan, what's up with these defenses not letting them run their offense?
Yeah. So anyway, the other thing was I've never in my life, my long history of covering and watching Ohio State football, seen a team that pretty much just capitulated to what the defense was doing by totally going with the running backs for Ohio State. We had a couple of attempts at running the ball. The only thing that worked on the read option was J.T. Barrett keeping the ball, and he picked up 60 yards on that very first drive, had a couple of nice long runs. But anytime he did anything other than keep the ball himself, they were getting stuffed. Elliott got stuffed on his first couple tries, and they decided they were going to try to run an option offense and then pitch out and go wide. Those things were getting chopped down. They ended up the first half with, I believe, 0 yards rushing by running backs. 0 yards rushing, or single-digit yards at the very best by anybody other than J.T. Barrett. To me, that's just unfathomable. That you're going to just say, well, okay, we're not going to try. They didn't really try to run the ball. Offensive line took a lot of heat after the game, but as Meyer pointed out, there's 5 of them. And when there's 7 guys coming after the quarterback, you can't expect your 5 offensive linemen to block them.
You know what, though? Let me jump with what you're saying there.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Because I'm with you. Because that was one of my biggest question marks was with the coaching, and it was exactly what you just said. Okay, I get it. You're going 6, 7, 8, 9 in the box. You're blitzing 6 guys, 5 guys, 7 guys on every play. You're just sending more than we've got. I get it. But, I mean, even if you just play Madden football, you know that when a team blitzes all their guys every play, you hit them with the pass. Somebody's open. You'll burn them. You'll gash them every time. And I couldn't understand why we weren't just having 3 guys do a quick 2-yard hook and look whichever one's open, toss them the ball real quick, because they're bringing the house and we're not using their aggressiveness against them at all. We're just snapping, looking, and getting sacked. Like, why are we running long routes when they're blitzing 6 and 7 guys? I didn't understand that.
Right. Well, Meyer is lamenting this morning in the press conference the failure of his receivers. He was disappointed in his receivers' inability to get open in man-to-man coverage, and certainly that was a problem. That the La Tech corners played great ball. But, even in my non-coaching, layman's understanding of football, the way to beat the blitz is to, use the middle of the field and your tight end. The tight end never saw a ball all night long. You run draws, you run screens. Is there a screen in the playbook? It was certainly not ever tried. Is there a draw play in the playbook other than a quarterback draw? We didn't see anything of the sort. And granted, you can't retool your whole offense and go away from your program, which is essentially read option, inside zone, outside zone, and spread. But as Meyer said, they couldn't run the ball because they were looking at 2 or 3 unblocked defenders on the line of scrimmage on every play. Well, okay, then do something different. I was distressed at the play calling. I give the defense more credit than most people do because you've got to hand some credit to Virginia Tech. They had very inventive play calling. Their quarterback made plays on third down where the Ohio State Buckeyes didn't do nearly as well on third down, not only with play calling but with execution. And so you got to hand it to the Virginia Tech offense. Let's face it, they showed up in Columbus Saturday night and they were the better team than the home guy. We thought, and we've said, and I've said that I thought losing Braxton Miller turned this from a 9 or 10 win team. Now maybe 9 wins looks like. That might be optimistic, but they're probably not as bad as they look. The special teams obviously horrible. The whole tone of the game has changed if the kicker hits 2 field goals earlier in the game, and also changed if Corey Smith makes a catch in the back of the end zone on a ball that hit him in the numbers. So there's all kinds of ways that the game should have been closer. Bottom line is, though, they were outplayed by a team that was better prepared and executed better on the field, and there's just no getting around that.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I don't know why more people don't question the strategy. I mean, 34 of the 43 dropbacks, they brought more than 5 or more, I should say, at the quarterback. I mean, like you said, the easiest way, and I keep, just because it's the easiest thing that I can reference without using specific players, I think of, when you're playing a game of Madden, the easiest way to beat the all-out blitz is to slant your tight end right across the middle and just hit him every time, because you have a hot read that runs the slant across the middle. It could be the tight end, it could be the slot guy. It doesn't matter. His job is to just run across in the slant there and be there for the quarterback. If you're going to blitz us, like you said, or screen every time, and they did it. They did it to score earlier with the pass to Michael Thomas that went 50 yards for the touchdown. You open up space like that, and then in that fourth quarter, I'm sitting there with my jaw open watching the game. Not that they're losing, that every snap was the same way for the last